Hi, and welcome back. I've been a traveler for over 25 years, and I have definitely done a lot of the packing things wrong. My first trip, I brought 2 huge suitcases, and over the years, I've honed down my packing. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about some tips and tricks that I've learned for carry-on travel. If you're new here, my name is Kyria, and in 2024, I retired early to pursue a life of full-time travel and adventure. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to talk about is bags. Now, you obviously have a lot of options for the bag that you carry as a whole. And I do think, for me, finding a good travel carry-on bag is the first thing you need to do. I've talked a little bit about my choice in a prior video, so I will link that here. But basically, I chose a bag that actually weighed less. So for me, that was more important. Shaving off a couple of pounds on my actual bag itself was something that I found was essential to me. And I've learned this over the years of backpacking, actually. I do a lot of thru hiking, and sometimes the thru hikers can become a little bit of crazy when it comes to counting the grams when you're carrying stuff on your back all the time. But I have found that a lot of those tips do carry over into actual travel as well. So the first thing is to cut down the weight of your actual carry-on bag if possible. I use the Osprey Daylight, which is a little bit less heavy than the Farpoint or the Fairview, whatever that one's called. But it is a little bit lighter, and for me, that makes just that little bit of difference does help. The next bags are going to be ones that you put things in. So let's talk a little bit first about toiletries. You can carry a bag like this for your toiletries, but you can see it's pretty stiff, and even if it's not full, it takes up a lot of room in your pack. So I like bags like this. This is actually a reusable Ziploc bag that you can put food and sandwiches and stuff in. So it does have kind of a plastic inside, and so it doesn't get totally nasty if you do spill something in it. And of course, there are TSA pre-rules, so you might want to just put your liquids into a little Ziploc bag. But a bag like this that's flexible, and you can kind of crunch down as in size. So if you have a couple of things in it, it will be just the size of the things instead of being the size of the bag. I found that to be very helpful. This one is called Bumpkins, and I will link everything in the description below. But this is a great one, and it actually comes in different sizes. And I've used this to carry snacks as well. So right now I'm using it for toiletries, but when I'm hiking, sometimes I will put peanuts or whatever my snack is in this bag as well. The next bag is a highly debated one, and that is compression sacks. I do use compression sacks. Personally, I don't know that they actually save space. I think actually the best thing to do in your bag is to just put things into the bag itself. However, I do like the fact that they help keep things organized. So I do use compression sacks for that reason alone. However, I try not to fill them up super full and to compress them down so that I'm fitting as much stuff as possible into the bag, because first of all, I think that it gets really heavy. And so you don't want to cram so much in that just because you have the space, you may not have the weight. So just be aware that clothes do actually weigh quite a bit, and cramming a bunch of clothes into a small bag may not be the answer. So I use the compression sacks just to separate out my different variations of things so that I have them organized either when I'm traveling or when I'm in a place for a longer time. I actually don't take my stuff out of the compression bags and put them into drawers. I just leave them in the compression bags, or I hang up stuff sometimes if I'm in a place for a longer time. The next bag I want to talk about is some kind of organization bags. And again, this comes from backpacking, but it really is good for traveling as well. This is a little organizing bag, and it's waterproof. So this is made out of DCF, which is Dyneema fabric, and it is actually a waterproof, very, very lightweight fabric. You can see it's super thin, but it is actually waterproof. And so a bag like this really comes in handy. First of all, I use it just to sort stuff, but I keep my electronics in this. And if you're going to go on a day hike or be walking around town, or like if you're in Bangkok during Songkran, for instance, you might want to put your passport or your camera or your phone or whatever it is that you have into a waterproof bag just in case it rains or you get wet. So this is something that it is a great multi-use thing. I have the one with the drawstring, which I honestly think that if you are going to buy something like this, you might want to get one with a zipper. And this one is, I can't find it online anymore, but I will link a link below to some that are made on Etsy that do have zippers or other various shapes and sizes. And these come in lots of different shapes and sizes as well. They come in a Ziploc kind of shape. And if you get a Dyneema bag instead of this bag, you also will serve the same purpose, that it will be able to be squished up when it's not being used. And so you could go with either one of these. These obviously are a little bit less expensive. These are a little bit more expensive, but these ones have lasted me for a long time. I use them for backpacking, camping, traveling, everything. And I keep my electronics in here, which are, kind of a little bit bulky and heavy, and they've held up very well. The other bag I like to have is a dry bag. And I've talked about this before, but if you're new here, you may not have heard it. This is a 13-liter dry bag by Sea to Summit. And basically, I use it, again, it's great to have a bag that's a little bit waterproof so that if you are going to be out and about, you can keep things dry. But I also use it to do emergency sink laundry. Instead of putting all my stuff in the sink, I just put this stuff into the bag with a laundry sheet, and I just shake it around, and you can squish it, and then you can dump it out and you have your laundry done. So this is a great thing. And again, I hike a little bit when I'm out traveling. And so when I'm hiking, I do use this to line my pack or keep my electronics or, whatever it is I need to keep dry. So for me, this is something that's very helpful. It might be a little bit overkill for most people, but I do think it's great for sink laundry. But if you don't want to do the bigger dry bag, you can just go with the Dyneema bag that I talked about before. The next tip I have, and this is not going to be new to anybody, but it is merino wool. Actually, the shirt I'm wearing right now is merino, and these two shirts are also merino. So this one is one by Smart Wool, which I've really, really liked. I actually got it on sale at a thrift store, and I've definitely got my money worth and then some. I would pay full price for this shirt. I will link a couple. So this one is quite old as well. I will link a couple of the ones that I have used recently in the description below, but I want to talk about a little bit of a word of warning about merino. So all these shirts are blends. So this shirt is a blend, this shirt is a blend. I also have this one, which is a blend. All merino is definitely not equal. So when you're buying a merino shirt or whatever, just be aware that there are differences. I personally like a blend, and so 100% merino is great, but it will be a little bit more delicate. You probably won't be able to wash it in hot water, things like that. And also it might get little holes in it because it's 100% wool. So for me, I like a blend. It's a bit more durable. And also I like to wear my merino when I'm active and I'm often in warmer places. And so I want to have some sort of a blend that hopefully also wicks the moisture away and doesn't stink and all that stuff. So what I found is if the merino wool percentage is a little bit higher than 50, it usually works out better. So this one is a 56% merino wool and 44% polyester. And this one is great. It doesn't stink at all. It dries super fast. It's like the perfect blend. So I would go with something like that if I was going to buy another one. On the other hand, this is a long sleeve shirt by Allbirds, and it's 45% merino, 35% recycled polyester, and 19% lyocell, and it stinks. So one wearing, it stinks. And so this one is definitely going to be one that I'm leaving behind after this trip because it's not great. I want to be able to wear it a couple days in a row without stinking, and this one stinks. I mean, it smells really, really bad. So I don't know, it wicks everything bad into the shirt and then it does not wick it out. So this one is not good. So definitely the Smart Wool blend is better. This one is not as great. The next tip I have is the underwear trick. So basically, like I said, I like to have a shirt that I can wear a couple days in a row. And the same thing goes for underwear. Not so much wearing them a couple days in a row, but I only bring 5 to 7 pairs of underwear on any trip. No matter how long I'm going to be gone, 5 to 7 pairs is enough. Underwear are super easy to wash in a sink and hang and use the next day. So there's no reason really for me to have 14 pairs of underwear or 21 pairs of underwear. I don't need a pair of underwear for every day. So definitely there are other things like that as well. For socks, I only bring 2 pairs of socks. Both of them are also merino blends, and so they can easily be washed and worn again the next day. So the socks that I like are by Darn Tough, and they have a lot of different weights. So kind of the same thing as with the shirt. They're not all created equal. So make sure that you get a lighter weight one if you're going to be in a hotter place, or heavier one if you're going to be doing more hiking or in a colder place. So just be aware of the thickness and also the blend percentage if there's a blend. Sometimes also the common merino companies will have a really good return policy. For instance, I had a smart wool shirt that had some issues and they refunded me. And then I've had Darn Tough socks, which had some issues, and they gave me a new pair. So it does pay to pay a little bit more sometimes for a little bit better quality product where they have a good guarantee to back it up. The next tip I have is to get a good universal charger. So this one that I have, you want it to fit what you need. So you don't want to have to bring two things to do one job. In fact, as another side note, everything that you have should have more than one purpose. So you should try to limit the things that only do one thing. So in this case, this universal charger is great because you can plug in anything into it, and you can also take anything, plug into any different outlet that you need. So it can be taken anywhere. And also if you are traveling with a European person and another person from the US or North America or whatever, everybody can plug their stuff in. The other thing for me, I do have my computer and it does have a 3-pronged cord. So this I can plug in my 3-pronged cord into. And then the other thing is all of these holes exactly fit what I need. Now, I have a little bit of an issue because I have this running watch, which has a different charger from everything else. And I also have my Kindle and some of my other hiking electronics, which still use a mini USB. So for me, I need 4 different cords, which is perfect. So 4 different holes. And the other tip would be only bring the cords that you need. So I have a long USB-C, I have a short USB-C, and the reason for the long one is sometimes you don't have outlets next to your bed. You want to have a longer cord so that you can plug it in a little further away or whatever. I have my watch charger and I have my mini USB. This is it. I only have these 4 cords and this, which fits all 4 of them in it. So minimalize your cords and your electronics if you can. Try to combine if you can, and that will save you a lot of space. The next tip is I always bring a spork with me. I know this might sound a little crazy, but I have a titanium spork that I use for backpacking. It's very lightweight. It has both the fork and the spoon, hence the name. And it comes in really handy. Sometimes I'm in a hotel and all they have is coffee stirrers and I want to have a little bit of oatmeal before I leave the house, or a top ramen, or whatever it is I'm gonna eat in my hotel room. And it's nice just to have a utensil that is very lightweight, doesn't take up a lot of space, and is available. Because definitely where I am right now, if you go to 7-Eleven, for instance, you're probably going to get chopsticks or a fork or spoon or whatever to eat your thing, but sometimes you don't have it and it's nice to have. Now, I did forget mine on this trip, so I normally carry it with me and I forgot it. So I just got a plastic fork, spoon, knife set, and I just carry this around with me in case I need to have a snack on the go. It comes in really handy. I don't really love eating out all the time, so sometimes it's easier just to go to the grocery store and get a salad or some sushi or whatever it is, wherever you are, and I have the ability to eat them without making a mess. So it's a little thing, but it does make things easier. The next tip is to try to get things that don't have as much liquid if you can. So here's a few examples. I use a shampoo and conditioning bar. And I also just use this for soap, so I don't carry 3 different things. I just carry the one. It's kind of an all-in-one. Just a side note though, I've been carrying this around for the last 3.5 months and I have not used it because every location that I've stayed has had shampoo, conditioner, and soap provided. So this is not something that you necessarily need, but if you're gonna carry shampoo and conditioner, it does save a lot of space. These are laundry sheets and I've actually split them in half, so they come in a sheet of 2. And I split them in half so I can fit them into this smaller container. But again, just like the shampoo and conditioner, I actually haven't had to use this because every place that I've been has provided laundry detergent as well. So it does help to have a few of them though, in case you need to do sink laundry with your dry bag or whatever. However, I don't think you need to carry around a whole packet, maybe just a few strips. Unless you're allergic to something or something like that, then it's definitely good to have some unscented ones in case you need to use that. The other thing I have, these are wet wipes, except they're dry. So they're dry wet wipes and they don't take up a lot of space. And all you do is you put a tiny bit of water and you really only need like a capful of water. Put that on here and it becomes a whole big wet wipe. So they're kind of compacted wet wipes, which comes in very handy. The next tip, if you've seen Spaceballs, you'll know what I'm talking about, but is to only bring what you need to survive.
What's this? I said take only what you need to survive.
It's my industrial strength hairdryer, and I can't live without it.
I don't have my industrial strength blow dryer, but I think things like contacts, make sure you just count out the ones that you need for your time. And don't bring a lot of what ifs, because a lot of these things, you can get them abroad. For instance, contacts. I'm currently in Asia. You can get contacts over the counter if your strength isn't too strong. So for me, my strength is not too strong, and I could buy contacts in Taiwan or Japan at basically the drugstore. And so even if you need to get them a stronger strength or whatever, it's not that hard to get an appointment and to have your eyes checked again and get contacts that way. So things like that. I mean, I know medications, if you have a specific one, it's definitely a good idea to bring those. Or if you have, certain kind of special contact that you need, maybe you want to bring those, but you'll be surprised at how much you can actually get abroad very easily. And for instance, in a lot of countries, the pharmacist can actually prescribe medication. So if you have, let's say, a scratch on your arm or psoriasis or whatever it is, a headache, you can go into the pharmacy and you tell them all your problems and they'll give you a drug to take. For example, my friend has a daughter with eczema, and normally she has to get a medicated cream to put on it. And in Thailand, they will give you that at the pharmacy instead of you having to go into the doctor, have an appointment, get confirmed that that's what you have and all that other stuff. So just know that a lot of that stuff is easier to do when you're abroad. It's the same in France. I had a friend who actually had an issue in France and just went into the pharmacy, explained what the issue was, and they gave him what would have been a prescription drug in the US. This, of course, goes for a lot of other, toiletries or little things that you can just buy them. So you don't really need to bring a lot of them. You can always buy them. Oftentimes they're less expensive. And it's kind of fun anyway to go into the shops and see what else they have. So my last tip is just something to make your life a little bit more comfortable. And that is a pair of earplugs. They're super inexpensive. Sometimes you even can get them, like I was in Japan at a shared guest house where there was like a common area next to the rooms and they gave us earplugs. So sometimes you just get a pair, but they're not expensive to buy and they will save your life if you can't sleep, if there's noise. I personally can sleep through a lot of things, and so I haven't had to use them too much. But you'll notice in some of the booking.com reviews or whatnot, sometimes an apartment, especially if it's in the middle of the city, a lot of the complaints for the low star ratings is that it's too loud. And so this will help a lot. The other thing I have is a eye mask and also a face mask just in case. So little things like that, which can help with your comfort level. And I know I said don't bring everything just in case, and that's true. You can also buy these abroad once you're abroad, so you don't have to actually bring them. However, I found that they're very handy, and they actually have some like earbuds that you can use also that are kind of earplug earbuds that I've heard are great. I've never tried them, but that's another suggestion. So hopefully this was helpful. These are just some of the tips and tricks and things that I bring for easy carry-on travel. I'd love to hear from you though. Do you have a favorite thing that you bring no matter where you are? And what is it? And why do you bring it? And I'd love to hear any stories about what you've learned over the years of packing. I especially like stories about what you brought that you didn't need, because I've done a lot of that over the years, and it's always good to learn from other travelers. So thank you for watching and happy travels.